Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. I first want to say thank you all for supporting my project, Ununited. The book is doing amazing. The support and love is overwhelming. I appreciate that. Um, I want to invite you today to view this webinar we put together. It's called Ununited, the Conversation. It's me and some of my military buddies, a panel of experts. I call them experts, a lot of experience um, to share with you guys about this book and their life experiences as it relates to the book. So I hope you enjoy. If you haven't picked up your book yet, Ununited, you can do so at Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Amazon, and just order or just Google Ununited by Timothy Harvey, and it'll put you where you need to be. Thanks again for all your love and support, and I hope to see you guys soon. Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, just your boy Timothy Harvey, getting ready to do a little webinar, talk about my book, the book Ununited, and I have some special guests here today, man, and we're going to chop it up a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the issues that's going on in the world and our country, and how these veterans, how things relate to our veterans as it pertains to this book right here. It's got a lot of knowledge in there, a lot of things they're going to be able to share with you guys, as I did in my book, but I wanted you to hear this from other people besides me. So I brought in some of my special friends, panel of people. We'll go ahead and start up there at the top left up there. We're going to go ahead. Ando, take it away, baby. Introduce yourself.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Sheldon Anderson, 22-year military vet. I've known Tim for most of my life, probably for about 20 of the, almost, what is it, Tim?
Oh, man. 24, 25 years, something like that.
Yeah, about 20, a long time, long time.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to be here. The book was great. I look forward to discussing it here today with you guys. It's about some things that, hard conversations to have, but that needs to be had, though. About the progression, non-progression that we've had here in our country as African Americans, and the fact that, we can still move forward. We're a great nation, but we can be better, right? And we need to have these hard conversations so that we can be better and that we can move forward together truly as one, and not just something that we just say for public speak, or political correctness. That we can really truly have an honest conversation, because conversation is, like you said in the book, Tim, it's difficult to have with whether you're Caucasian or whether you're an African American. It's a difficult conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. We don't all have the answers. But we can get close to the answer and to a common solution by having these conversations. So I appreciate the fact that you took the time to put your thoughts in writing, Tim. You've taken steps that, most of us are, kind of afraid to do, to put our thoughts on paper and to put it out there for the world to see and to comment on. So I commend you and I applaud you for that. And, thank you for allowing me to participate in this conference.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you being here. Mr. Isaac McKay, come on with it.
How y'all doing? My name is Isaac McKay. I'm a 20-year, 10-day Army vet. I always tell people I only did 10 days because I had to. I've known Tim all of my adult life. I think, yeah. 'Cause I was a kid when I came to Fort Lee, so I've known him for a long time. It's ironic because we've been friends for so long, and then I had to turn around and work for him in the military and on the civilian sector. So I know him very well. I ditto what Sheldon said. I absolutely enjoyed the book. I read it twice. And it has a lot of conversation that needs to be had. So that we can learn how to heal from things. And so the reality is that we don't get the opportunity to do this. And so I am honored that you saw fit for me to be part of this panel discussion, and I look forward to us discussing the book.
I absolutely wouldn't do it without you, brother. Okay, my good friend, Watchdog, Keita Maxwell.
Wow. Hey, again, good evening, and hey, Tim, again, hey, brother, I appreciate you, thinking of me in this capacity to be to provide some insight into your inner thoughts and in mind, and with these fellow brothers on here, brother. Like I told you when I finished reading it, when I read it the first time, and like Isaac, I read it twice. But let me say who I am first. But I'm Akil Maxwell. I like Isaac. I tell folk I did a little bit of time in the military. Probably roughly around about 23 years, 1 month, and 24 days. It's not like I know exactly how long I did, but I did a little bit.
Who's counting? Who's counting? Who's counting? Yeah.
Hey, ain't nobody counting, but I tell them I did a little time. But the thing I tell them now, I'm not that person anymore. So even though, albeit I still kind of work for the government per se, I try to tell them, look, I'm not that person, because we got a lot of folks still want to refer to me as that, and I'm like, no, that's not me. My name is this. No, you can call me Max, or you can don't call me what you called me when I was back in the uniform. I'm not in that anymore. That's a different transition. But I've been knowing Tim since 1999. Y'all know what, back, that song, we ain't gonna go there. But 1999, back old Fort Lee, Virginia, back in the day when we first met up, we
1999.
1999. And going on Friday, the Fighting Hope will to get those crab legs. But I ain't gonna say how long we broke the crab legs out. But yeah, I've been knowing them for a while, man. I'm telling you, man, it's been like I was saying, we kind of talked about the book after I purchased it and read it. Matter of fact, I read it the first day. Then I think I messaged him. Then we started, and then he called me and we talked about it. So I don't want to talk more. I know we're gonna talk a little bit, get more in depth with some of the questions that he want to talk about. But it's still pretty prevalent today what he's talking about in the book in Ununited. So I kind of see it in the capacity where I work now. Even though people don't want to say it, but it's there. So with that being said, I don't want to hold up the conversation and the other introductions. Again, it's been an honor, brother, for you to invite me to this particular venue. I appreciate it once again.
I appreciate you, boy. Appreciate your love. All right, there, Big Larry, my brother from another mother there, Barry Leveretta. Come on through with it, man. Let the people know.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. My name is Barry Leveretta. I met old Tim and Mac. Met both of them in 2007 in Okinawa, Japan. Tim was my sponsor for my family and I, when we got over there in the middle of it all.
Don't tell the story. Don't tell the story. Don't tell that
story. You already know where I'm going, don't you?
Don't.
Tim was my sponsor, so he hooked us up when we got over there, got us settled, got us into the guest house and, and prepped and everything. And like I said, in the middle of a typhoon, so he really went out of his way to take care of us and read the right way. And, all of y'all that's military, people that are listening and watching this, how big that is when you get somewhere and you got somebody there that's looking out for you, that's going to take care of you. So, it's been my partner ever since then, him and Mac. Done a lot together. I will say this, and they know where I'm going with this right here too. We talking about how hot it is. Oh, this ain't as hot as I've ever been.
It is not.
That's an inside joke.
It is not
as hot as I've ever been.
We will be talking about that in the next floor we have. We are gonna get that story on film now. Yeah,
I know we will. I already know.
Yeah. That story funny
but
too.
As far as it is. But as far as the book goes, man, I'm super proud of you, brother, because this book, like everybody else, I read it twice. I read it once, and then I went to Georgia to see my daughter and messed around and left the book there after, because I took it to finish reading it. So I ended up getting it again and reading it again. So enjoyed it. The first thing that hit me was the title, the title of the book, Ununited. That's exactly where we are right now in this country. Ununited. So the title was spot on, man. So from there, just reading everything that you talked about, you hit the nail on the head with several things. I especially enjoyed all of the scenarios, all the the stories you told in there, the personal stories. Those things were insightful. They were meaningful, and we all have experienced some of that before. So I'm sure that's some of the things that we'll talk about. But again, known Tim for about 2007. What's that about?
Oh man, you're gonna make us do math right here, like 17, 18 years.
Yeah. We don't do no math now.
Yeah, we don't do no math.
Hey, why y'all laughing? Why y'all laughing? I was doing some. I was trying to do my calculation. I was wrong.
You ain't lying to them and draw the lines under there, did you?
Hey man, I right.
Lines, he carried one.
He carried the one. He
Carried
carried
the
the one.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but looking forward to the conversation though, man. Like I said, enjoy the book, and I just want to enjoy talking about it with some other people.
Okay. Well, good, man. Well, look, so we're gonna jump into a few questions right here. You know, I throw the question out, and you know what I'm saying, whichever one you want to take it on, or if you want to have some conversation about that, we'll do so. Okay. So the first question would be one that I kind of asked myself. What would you say has been your most difficult adjustment to make post-military career and or retirement? I'll start with you, Sheldon.
My most difficult adjustment to make post-military career retirement. Workforce or personally or all?
Just all. Just since you left the military. So like, even if you like for a little bit, you had a brief retirement period. Talk about that transition a little bit and talk about how it was going, how you went from going, 100 miles an hour virtually in the military, the pace of the military, and then, trying to soak in retirement and then embracing the workforce back again, and try how you acclimated yourself back into getting back into corporate America.
Right. So initially, I had to take I was in the first armed position. I had to take a med board. I had some injuries, head trauma, all that good stuff. We're all familiar with. And so the biggest adjustment was getting my body back right and my thought process, because mentally, dude, I was broke down, from the deployments, from the training, my body mentally and physically. And then getting to know my family again, because it caused such a strain, in my household. And so that was a huge adjustment, just getting back into the routine with my children, taking them to school, having more time spent with my wife, doing all this while at the same time trying to get my body and my mind, what I consider somewhat fit again, so I can be normal, so to speak, because there was a big mental, man, I guess people don't realize, right? When you've been a career soldier, the sacrifice that you put your body through, that you put your mind through, trying to keep your family together. So the biggest adjustments, or some of the biggest adjustments, besides trying to get myself back together, was to bring my family closer together and to reintegrate myself. Yeah, you're there every day, but when you're up and running all the time, and that's your number one focus, and then all of a sudden now you have all this time with your family, it's totally different, right? Because mom and the kids, they're almost on autopilot. You kind of just interjecting, doing the best you can. So that was the largest adjustment. It's just kind of reassimilating myself with my family, while at the same time trying to heal my mind, trying to heal my body. And it took me almost 6 years to do that before I could get back out and rejoin the workforce. So I say the biggest adjustment for me was just, finding a routine and finding my place again within my household, as well as, where I fit out in society, in the workforce, moving forward, that was unrelated to the military, coming out here into the private sector. So,
yeah.
And it was challenging.
Yeah.
And I think, what's my gentleman's name? What's my man's name in the suit and tie right there?
Akita?
Keita, but you can call me Max either way.
Oh, Max. Max had kind of alluded to, some things earlier, that I could relate to. He's talking about in the workforce, how some things change, but some things still remain the same as far as, some of the challenges that we face in and outside of the military, right? Some of the social things. So I think we all, adjust into that and how to do it outside of the military umbrella, right? Because even in the military, when you face all these challenges, you still have, some UCMJ, you have some measures in black and white where you can kind of limit, you know, some of the things that may happen to you, you know, as a minority in the military, and then trying to navigate those challenges out here where there really aren't any rules in black and white. It's, you know, you gotta find your way.
Absolutely.
And so that part, that's an adjustment. You know, because you can really step on yourself. You can trip over yourself, you know, trying to do the right thing out here, navigating an issue how you were doing in the military, and it don't work out here in the private sector.
It's a tough hill to climb. It's a tough hill to climb.
And you can be blackballed, you can be shut down, and I think
we talked about that a lot. We talked about
yeah.
that a lot when you was getting ready to transition to your professional thing. We talk about that a lot even now, you know,
That's
about
right.
how people can perceive you and the doctrine and what you know, just telling you, you just feel as if you're doing what you know and that you know that's right, what's sufficient and whatnot. And some civilians, I learned very quickly, man, well, especially G Army. I learned at G Army, man, that any little suggestion you make or things you make can be met with aggression like you wouldn't believe. And I know Isaac and Akita going to talk about that here in the set. But you're absolutely right, bro. And me and you talk about this all the time. It's a tough hill to climb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Isaac, what you think about that?
My transition was different than everybody else's because you played a big part in my transition, and you was kind of a buffer at a time that I was sinking and didn't know I was sinking. Because when I retired, my hardest thing was, like Sheldon said, getting back out into the workforce, right? After you've done something for, 20 plus years, I lost my first job. I was an instructor teaching privates, and I lost my first job, and then they rehired me back. So that whole thing was kind of hard, like trying to find your way and losing your job after you've done the same thing your whole life. And so that was hard for me. What was also hard, it was tough about retirement from the Army was letting it go. And it was hard to let go because I found myself still marching soldiers down the street because I was a civilian, but you had to take them to the training area. And so it's like I was still in the military, but not in the military. And so Tim kind of was that save because he came and got me from where I was at and pulled me over to G Army. And that's why I met Max and so that was a little different. But even being over there was hard, Sheldon, because they had a structure over there, like Tim said, like if you're not, no disrespect to anybody that's GS, but in G Army, it was like if you're not a GS person, then you're nobody. And Max, you can relate to that. And so
yes, yeah.
You're used to being able to voice your opinion. You're used to being able to solve problems and come up with solutions. And now all of a sudden you're saying that you've taught me this stuff for 20 something years. Now I can't use it anymore. I'm not allowed to use it. And so that was a little rough, just so you just do, you keep your comments to yourself and do what we tell you to do kind of thing. And so that was a little rough, but
get that 8 and go home.
Get that 8 hours and go home. And I had to learn that. And so
that was our code word there, 8.
Yeah, that was hard. One of the hardest things for me though, and then I'll pass it on. One of the hardest things for me though, Sheldon, to piggyback off what you were saying, man, was learning how to get my PTSD under control.
Yeah.
That was hard because we worked in a place where everybody had PTSD.
Everybody.
The whole building, there's 500 people in there, and all of them retirees. Everybody done been to war. Everybody,
yeah, indeed.
Been to war, and everybody got PTSD, and we all walk in there with short fuses. And so it was rough, man. It was rough. It was rough, but yeah.
Okay, Kitty, what you got?
Hey, so hey, we kind of talked about this question, before, brother. So hey, I'm gonna start with that one. Since Isaac brought up talking about G Army, y'all were talking about that. and you two brothers know, when I was excommunicated, and and the way they went about it, the way the way the way they went about it, it seemed like they figured I was gonna come back up there and tear the building apart or something. I was like, let's y'all made a conscious decision to let me go, and then the reason that you chose to let me go was not really the reason behind you let me go. And I found out I knew what the reason, because I had a mind that I'm like, listen, I know what the problem is, because I said something to one, like as I was saying, to one of the GS persons. After they said something to me, I'm like, listen, that's not what happened. This is what it was. Y'all stated this, so I kind of voiced my, how I felt about the situation. And the next thing I know, I get a call that evening when I make it home that, hey, I need to come to the office, and not the main office. I say, okay, well, so do I need to bring in all my gear? So it was one of those things that made me realize, I'm like, okay, so because I spoke up for everybody in the room, you felt that I didn't made you look smaller because I was a contractor and you was GS doing the exact same thing, but I was wrong for that. So that's how I figured, because when I looked at the notice I got and I read it, I'm like, huh? Oh, so you saying no, that's not what happened. I know this came right after this meeting. So I understand this. It's one of the things that we had to adjust to. And so it's kind of harder. It's kind of one of the things that, for me being an A-type personality when I was in the Army, it's kind of hard to say, I'm going to just adjust and bow down and say, yes, I'm going to follow whatever you say. No, that don't make sense. You can do this way, or you could have did this, but this is what you put out, but you want to lay blame on others that for the guidance that you put out that we were following. That was my problem. But then when I look at some of the other aspects, like where I'm currently at, we deal with that now in a sense where, and I'm GS now, you believe it or not, but I'm surprised every day. But I say, it's not a surprise. I always say that was a blessing from above. It was my time to get to where I'm at right now. And when folk ask me, I tell them, listen, you all think it's just because I knew the guy that put a word in for me that was in my company when I had the captain's career course over at ALU. Like, yeah, he probably played a part in it, but he wasn't the final decision maker. The final decision maker came out and hide in that building that he was in. But I appreciate him putting in the word for me to get me to that particular point. But I still, still to this day probably struggle with that short fuse at times, because some stuff it doesn't pass common sense tests that they do. And they'll say certain things that, push a button. And I kind of give them a little subtle warning, like, hey, understand, I'm retired from the Army. And I mean retired. I ain't going to say what rank I was. My name is Mr. Maxwell now. But I'm retired from the Army, and I still got some problems that I deal with. You can't be talking to me that way, because I may have.
I think a lot of civilians and that's the biggest curve for, I think,
yes,
of us. It's hard to articulate to them for something that they can't understand.
They don't really understand or don't want to find the time to understand it. So that's one of the things I knew one of the biggest words I had adjustment I had, because when you decide to make that transition, like I made that well, actually HR helped make that transition decision for me, since they called and left a rhetorical message on my phone, my work phone, saying, first on, you need to call us. We about to put you on assignment because you only got 3 deployments. And that's what they left on my phone. So I was really upset. I was trying to figure out how can I get to HR real fast and not get in any trouble and still be able to come down on my company. But I'm finding ways. My adjustment to that is by working, talking to the spouse, dealing with the family, trying to and find other things that can ease the mind, have your mind more on growth and moving forward and keep pushing forward and figuring out ways to adjust to that. And that you just got to find what makes you put you in that happy space, I should say, where it keeps you calm and relaxed, and you know how to now deal with family and be able to talk and not always go from 0 to 100, I should say, like we like to say. We'll go 0 to 100 in a minute if you say the right thing and that right trigger hits. So I'm finding ways to adjust that. One of those things, like I do. I'm regularly at my service on Sundays, running the soundboard at my church. So, that's that kind of thing that keeps me going and keeps me kind of grounded on where I need to be in the direction I need to try to stay and keep myself grounded and make sure I don't go out of bounds with things.
I love it.
Right.
That's kind of what makes me work, brother.
I love it.
Love it.
Okay, so we're running out of time here. Okay, Lev, go ahead. Let me jump in right here. We got about 4 minutes left, and then we may have to do a part 2 to this because there's a lot of content I want to get to, but we're running out of time. Go ahead, Lev.
Oh yeah. Hey, real quick. I know you've run out of time, but yeah, my transition. I'm hearing some of the same things that I kind of went through. I heard the word short fuse or the term short fuse. I had a unique, kind of a unique situation when I retired. I went into teaching JROTC, so I'm dealing with some teenagers. All right, and so I'm coming off of 23 years in the military, and I'm used to structure, and I'm used to things being done this way, and I'm used to, if you told something, just get it done, and that's the end of it. Not how come I got to do this and those type things. So that first year of transition for me was rough. It was real rough. I see a lot of my students from that first class. They come back, and I see them now, and we laugh because I was hard, and I needed to change. I had to realize, hey, I'm not in the military anymore. These are kids I'm dealing with. In some cases, ninth graders, 14, 15-year-old kids that I'm dealing with. And so I had to realize that and say, okay, take it down a notch. You're not in the military. We're not at war, here at this school, those type things. So had to bring that fuse down some. And then real quick, in another way, I think we were kind of shielded from some things in the military. And I don't mean
Absolutely. I know exactly what you're
looking for. Yeah, I think we were shielded. And I don't mean from a naive kind of way. I mean that when I got out and I started seeing some of the things people were dealing with politically, some of the things they were dealing with just outside of the work area, just everyday things. And we didn't have to deal with those things. I'm sure they were there, but because we were in the military and we had so much structure and we had so much, what the culture was in the military was, hey, we all on the same team. Let's take care of each other.
One team, one fight.
Somebody, you make sure that they're good to go. They don't have any kind of pitfalls or any kind of things in their, life that's going to take them out right now. I didn't see that when I came out into the civilian world. When I came out into the civilian world, I saw just the opposite. It almost seemed like everybody was for themselves.
It was a free fall.
And it took me some.
What's that now? It was a free fall.
Yeah, it was a free fall. It really was, and it shocked me. Even though I heard some people tell me those things beforehand. Hey, look out for this. Hey, you're gonna see this right here. Until you do 20-something years in the military, which it sounds like all of us did, and then get out and you start experiencing those things, you just don't know till you go through it, man. You just don't know. Yeah. So that was an adjustment for me. I know you got to cut it off, so that was an adjustment for me. Got some more, but I'm gonna end it right there since you gotta cut it short.
Well, what I was gonna say is that I'm sure our listeners right now are already ready for another part 2 of this, and I'm gonna extend the time on the next one. And I do have a lot of more material I want to get to. However, we're running short on time, but that's okay though, because we can do another one. You know what I'm saying? We can do another one. We can do another one soon. And so part 2 will be coming after this. But I will say this before we get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all coming on. I'll be sending y'all some details for the next one here pretty shortly. This is going to help a lot of our brothers and sisters out there. And I know America needs exactly what we're doing right now. So go out and get Ununited if you haven't purchased it already. It's on Amazon, Books A Million, Walmart, all over. Just Google Ununited by Timothy Harvey to put you in the house. Hey, thank you guys, man. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see y'all again soon, okay?
Make it soon, man. I got some notes. I need to get some things off my chest.
Hey, man, look. I thought we were